Welcome to Critter Crusades, the show about ordinary people on extraordinary missions to help animals. I'm Missy Woodward. I'm here with some wonderful guests. Actually, they're cuties. They're cuties for canines. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Now, you are Bobbi Sue Luther.
I am.
Yes, and Jennifer Reuting.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about Cuties for Canines, now that I have the name totally correct, and about the organization. Who started it and what happened?
Well, Jen had originally started adopting dogs and going to shelters on her own, and then we kind of met and decided to do something together and really create something that could impact our community as well as we could take on a nationwide level. And so we started Cuties for Canines, and we go into local shelters and our county and city shelters in Los Angeles, and we rescue dogs.
Yeah.
Why did you start doing that?
You know, actually, it was funny because I was on Craigslist for some strange reason. I don't know. I never go on the pet section of Craigslist, and I saw that this young girl was out there in the shelters every day trying to rescue these dogs. And her name is Ariel, and she actually got me started. She was just doing it on her spare time, and she was kind of calling random people, having her parents' friends help her, and I was like, wow, you know, I got so many good things out of it, and I was so busy with my other businesses, but I just, you know, you just get so addicted. It's almost like, you know, a drug.
It is like that, because these dogs
like
find these people, and you're exhausted, but you have to do it. You're like, I've got to make this work. I got to go to work, but then I got to do this after work. And, you know, you're driving dogs to San Diego in the middle of the night, and you're like, whoa, what am I doing, you know?
You know, but when the shelter calls and they say, listen, this dog has 48 hours, what do you do?
What do you do? And you've played with this dog, you've interacted with it, and you're going, hey, this is the perfect companion. Why hasn't somebody stepped in and taken him home? And the reason is like these guys need a voice, and we're that voice. And so that's why we started the organization, is to speak for the dogs that have been overlooked and passed by, because those guys need the voice the most. The red-listed dogs are the dogs that are most in danger of being euthanized.
So as far as red-listed, for people that wouldn't know what that means, there's animals that go into the shelters, and how long do animals get to stay in the shelters, and then when do they get put on that list so that they're put down?
It really depends.
It really depends on, every shelter is a little bit different. The city shelters have a better system in place than the county shelters do. In fact, the county shelter is called out by date. They're not even called red listed. And so a lot of the dogs have this out by date. And I think by law, strays have to be kept for, it's like 10 days, 15 days, something like that. And in the city system, it's a little bit different, because if they haven't processed the paperwork, they then extend those days, because it's up to them to have that dog in their system for a certain number of days. Then it's available to be adopted, and then once it hasn't been adopted.
But owner surrenders, you know, if you surrender your dog to the shelter, I've actually been at the shelter where somebody surrendered their dog, they took it in the back and euthanized it immediately because they just didn't have the space.
Yeah, because they can request for these dogs to be euthanized if they don't want to pay the fee to surrender the dog. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. A friend of mine had rescued one. She'd been in line for 4 different dogs. Rescue groups had taken them out. Fortunately, she finally was getting very frustrated. Somebody was walking in to let go of this beautiful little black dog, and she said, I'm taking it, grabbed it from him, didn't even get to the window. So it was a great story. But how many times does that great story happen?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Ariel's done it many times.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen, but that's because you guys are there. And the thing is when somebody's not there, what happens? So let's back up a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your background first, as far as when did your love of animals start?
When I was a kid, yeah. I think that I grew up with big dogs. And so for me, luckily, I love big dogs, you know, because they're always the hardest to get adopted. You know, right now, people are able to have dogs in their apartments if they're like under 20 pounds or under 20, some ridiculous size. And so it leaves these big, lovable teddy bears left to die. And so I think for me, I mean, every kid goes through their zoologist phase where they want to be a zoologist, but I think that it's sort of ingrained in me. I just love animals. I love nature. I love everything about it. So.
And when did it start for you?
All the way back to, I think, when I could crawl or walk. I used to raise horses and travel around on an equestrian team, and I too rescued feral cats in Maryland, and just always had some sort of animal. I had iguanas and birds and cats and dogs.
She actually has a rabies vaccine.
Yeah, I get my rabies shot. My entire family did, because I brought home these feral cats that proceeded to bite us, and they were kind of messed up, and my family was just so mad at me because we had to pay for these rabies shots, and it was, you know, it's part of the story.
So we send her into the kennels and the
Right. She's the one. She's inoculated, so she can go in.
Exactly.
I mean, let's put her out in the front first.
There you go.
So in your years when you were growing up, did you start in rescue as well, or were you just still having family pets?
Absolutely not. You know, here's the thing. You love animals. If you're in, you know, a lot of people are like me. They love animals, and you understand that there's a problem, but you just, you put it in the back of your mind. You kind of just put it away because you don't know what to do about it. It's such a big problem. How do you tackle it? So you just go about, you know, you get into business, or you start getting into college or school or whatever your life. And I think that at one point you're awakened and you're like, okay, you can make a difference, even if it's a little difference. You know, even if it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 lives that you save, it makes a difference. It made a difference to those 4.
Absolutely.
So it's, I think that I wasn't in rescue, but I think that once you get a taste of it, you're addicted. And that's what I got. I got a little taste, and then I got addicted. Same for Bob. So.
Well, and on the other hand, most of the animals that went through my house as a child were all rescues, with the exception of 1 horse and 1 dog. They were all rescues, ones that we found on the streets. A iguana I rescued from people that were abusing it, and we always, the 2 cats that we had were actually 4 cats that we had were all rescue cats, ones that we found beaten up, abused, or 2 feral cats that I found as kittens. And so I guess I was in rescue, never realized it, but then, you know, becoming an adult and realizing that my voice in the entertainment industry meant something to people. You know, I decided, why am I sitting here just, you know, doing stuff for me, you know, doing what, when I can use it for a greater purpose. And for that greater purpose, I have a passion towards animals. I have a passion towards making a difference in your community in general. And I feel like you need to choose something and be focused on it. And for me, it's animals. And I would like to try to use my voice and my abilities to make a difference in our community and abroad as well.
Now, so our audience will know now, you're an actress, you're doing a lot of different things, you're doing film, modeling, all different types of things as well, but you love marketing and you love getting the word out. How important has that been in your ability to communicate more? Do you feel like it's really given you the edge on being able to have people listen to you more strongly about the story really behind it, the real problem for animals, or do they think, oh, it's just another actor getting involved in some cause for animals? I mean, how seriously do they take you?
You know, I hone in on the people who care. You know, I contact these dog companies that make collars and leashes and food, and these are people that are active in the community, and you just go, hey, we need help. We have a program called Welcome Home where we send home all of our new dogs with their new families with everything that they'll need, with shampoo, brushes, collar, leash, food, toys, treats, everything. I mean, it's a bag. It's huge, full of information as well as what to do in the case of emergency, getting your pet health insurance. And I approached all these companies, and all these companies have donated their goods. You know, Jack Pacific, AKC, Aspen Pet, all these amazing companies, as well as larger corporations like Sobe and Pepsi and Nintendo. They're like, hey, you know what? We want to make a difference too, and all you have to do is ask. And that's what I've learned. People don't ask. And you go to these companies and you go, we want to make a difference. We need your help to do it. And they're like, you know what? Sure, I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking for a little bit of time and a little bit of donation of goods, and they're more than happy to be there.
So your organization is able to, since you're a nonprofit, be able to ask, people are able to donate, which is so wonderful. You're able to get people involved.
I have to say, though, Bobbi has this special thing. I don't know. You know, you talk about what sets her apart from different celebrities. I think it's just this passion and fire and intelligence that most people don't have. And she has this amazing talent to just parlay that when she's talking to people and enroll them in our cause. And it's that special thing that she has that, you know.
And I was using that before, but really just for myself. And so I decided I'm done with this. I want to do something. And right now we're doing it. You know, she's using her business background, and I'm using my marketing abilities and our mutual love and respect for dogs and our community, and try to make a difference, an honest difference. And we're hoping that other people will get on board. And if it's not dogs, that's okay. You know, 1 hour a week can make a difference in your community. Just 1 hour. I mean, you never have to touch a dog ever in your life to make a difference within our organization. You could upload photos to a website, or you pass out flyers. Anything helps. Anything. And everybody's got an hour to give.
Right.
And also just passing the message on. You know, you know, you go to a pet store and you buy a dog from a pet store, you're just funding the puppy mills. You know, you go to a backyard breeder, you're funding that. You know, I think that there needs to be a message. And dogs are not objects. They're lives. They have emotions. They're emotional beings. You know, they feel fear, they feel anxiety and pain and love.
And with passing that message, it's amazing how many people don't know that dogs get euthanized. They're like, what? And you're like, 10,000 animals a week in California alone, and people have no clue. So with that message of just passing along that message, it teaches these people so that maybe 2 months, 6 months, 2 years from now, they go, I now have time in my life to adopt an animal, and I want to adopt one of these red-listed animals, or a cat, or a dog, or a rabbit that they know is in danger. And because 2 years ago they found out that they actually get killed, they know now they can go to their shelters. It costs a nominal fee to get these animals. And, you know, they're the pet for life. They're the perfect friend for life. And they actually saved a life. How many people can say, hey, I saved a life today? You know, that's cool. That's really cool.
Now, your business acumen is allowing you to help in the structure of your organization. I know before we came on the show, we were talking about how you want to create the organization to where you can duplicate it. Tell me a little bit about that, about what your goals are for Cuties for Canines and how that can go out into the world.
Well, I think that one of the most, the most powerful organizations empower others to become leaders themselves. And I think that a lot of nonprofits, they tend to kind of like it's my way or the highway. They don't allow people to give what they can, give their own sort of gifts, whether it be, marketing or whether it be, just loving animals, going out there and evaluating them, playing with them. And I think that what we want to do and what we want to accomplish is to create an infrastructure which has so many different facets where people can become involved, and it has an actual infrastructure where if they don't have time, they're able to just spend an hour a week placing dogs via their cell phone. And everybody gets that feeling of rescuing an animal. We make it accessible to people. So when we create this business infrastructure, we almost want to make it so tight that it's franchisable, that we can get key people in various cities, meet with them, go there, say, here's what we have. A lot of it's online. We have a lot of online stuff coming, for our volunteers. Here's what we have. Start it. Go do what we did in your city. And it makes things, it shows people the path.
I think empowering the public, and I know education is always the thing I talk about, is education is the key. Empowering anyone with the message. I mean, your message, when I read the information on the website and everything, I really got it was about anybody can do it, but these red-listed animals, these animals that literally have hours left on this planet, there's hope for them, and that you can make that difference in that hope. Now, tell me one of your saddest stories that's happened with rescue. What has happened?
There's too many, really.
Oh, Bobbi's first rescue.
Yeah, my first rescue. I placed this dog. I fielded calls for him all day long, and he had 24 hours. We called the shelter. We're like, we're coming to get him, fix him. And they were like, okay, we're doing it. We went and we called to make sure everything was okay. Jen was like, let me just call, because we placed him. We had like 6 calls, and I chose the perfect home on this ranch and everything. And
it was a Labrador Retriever.
Yeah, and we got the call that they forgot to call us. It was a county facility, and they didn't see our number on the dog, and they had in turn euthanized him. And it's a sad thing, and the youth problem is such a problem, especially in some of these communities that have such a surplus of dogs that are all great. When it comes right down to it, I'm not against euthanization, and I think that's really important to discuss, because a lot of people are into the no-kill, and gosh, I don't want to kill any animals, but unfortunately, there's some animals that are just so far gone that there's just no hope for them. And do I really want them in a cell for the rest of their life? I just don't know what to do. So we choose these animals, and we go and we evaluate constantly on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday basis, play with them, feel them out, figure out what their quirks are and what home is best for them, because every dog is different. Every dog has a different personality. And within that red list, there's a lot of great dogs that are just like, hey, pick me. But they've been in cages with puppies. So, of course, they're getting bypassed when there's a little bundle of joy bouncing around in the front.
Right, so you're really working on them. Now, how do you find time in your busy schedule?
It's forced.
It really is.
It's forced.
I'm forced to delegate all of my other things. And that's good, because as a business person, you need to delegate, and you just do it. You just do it.
Yeah.
You just find the time. It's amazing because everybody's like, oh, I don't have time for this, but you find it.
Yeah,
About how many animals a week or a month do you help?
It really varies, but last week alone, on 1 week, we placed 7 dogs. Wow. Yeah.
You know, and that's
some weeks, we concentrate on the infrastructure. We concentrate on, having events or getting our word out there or building a volunteer base, because without all that other stuff, you're not saving dogs, because there's only so much we can do on our own. We need people to also speak on our behalf when on a daily basis.
And as the infrastructure is developed and we are able to expand and allow more and more volunteers, I think that the numbers will be compounded.
So tell me about your volunteer program and what are some of the things you face as trying to find volunteers?
It's not necessarily trying to find volunteers, it's trying to keep them enrolled. I think a lot of people do things on a whim and they're not entirely dedicated, and I think that you have to when you do something, you do it with conviction. If you're going to volunteer, we want people that volunteer for life, even if it's just an hour a week.
Yeah.
But we need to know that you're there. And so finding them, we'll train them, anything. If anybody has any gift, like some random thing, oh, I know how to book radio shows. Great.
Yeah, awesome.
Can you upload stuff onto the website? Because we don't know anything of, we're paying programmers in India.
Yeah.
because,
right.
With donations. So it's, anything that you can bring to the table, just join in, jump in.
And everybody's got a special gift. Everybody I know is good at something, and it's just so hard to nail people down, and people always go, well, we can't do what you guys do, and I'm not asking for that. I know that I can't do what I do, and I'm somehow doing it, but all we need is somebody to just step up to the plate and take some of this workload, and because you know what, every person that's done it, like we've got this one volunteer that's just started, and she has just jumped in with both feet. Her name is Sarah, and she's just been amazing, and she goes, it was so worth it. She drove this dog, she picked him up, drove him down to San Diego. It was a whole day ordeal for her. She's got a full-time job as well. And she goes, you know what? After the look on that family's face and the dog just, it was like he'd been there for all of his life. She goes, it made everything worthwhile. Anytime you need to do that, just call me. I will make the time. And that's what it's all about, because you don't have to touch the dog, you don't have to see the dog, but knowing that you're part of the system gives you the validation of like, wow, I'm doing something. I'm using my skills to do something for my community, not just for something for myself. And it's asking very little, just a little bit.
What are some of your best success stories?
Oh goodness!
So
they're all successful because of the nature of what we do. They're all red listed. Most of the dogs have a 24-hour thing, so we're like feverishly trying to place them. And knowing that dog literally had 24 hours, and you found them a home, and you're seeing the success stories and how they're flourishing. I mean, some of them we're concerned about because of their behavioral issues, but we're getting the calls that it's romping around the neighborhood and playing with the kids, and everything's fine. It's like, wow, it's like these dogs find these people, or the people find the dogs. It's vice versa, because when you get interest in one dog and then you place it with one of those people and then you try to place a dog with the other 4 people, it doesn't work because that dog didn't call them. So
and
they're all successful.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're not just saving the dog in a way, you're also saving the person that adopted them, because you get to see that evolution, how much more enriched their life is with this addition to their family. And my favorite personally is when you give a dog to somebody that's never had a dog before. There was this couple in San Diego that rescued this pit bull, which was it was such a hard case. Nobody would take her. She was older, not so cute, Bobbi would have loved her.
I like the ugly ones.
But this guy was in the military, and his wife had just moved from Virginia. They never had a dog, but they saw the ad, and they saw, her information, and they're like, we'll take her. And so I drove down to San Diego, dropped her off, and we get these pictures back and these emails, and they're just so overjoyed. I mean, their lives are complete now. They have, it's like they weren't ready to have kids, but they have something that they can really put their love onto, and
their family.
Yeah, it's a family. It's a family member, and that's really what it is.
Exactly.
So tell me about programs that you want to move into that, let's say, you don't have going now, but something that you think will really enhance what the group does.
Well, Bobbi had this amazing idea.
I really want to do a Seniors Love Seniors program where we take dogs that are senior aged to like retirement communities, active senior communities, so they can in turn adopt these dogs out. It's seniors helping seniors, and it's just constant back and forth. You know, it's people that are looking for companionship. You know, their children are grown and their grandchildren are off doing whatever, and you know, many times they want to fill a void, and then filling the void with a senior age dog, which are always the hardest to place. Right. But they're the greatest companions. You know, they're calm, they're just looking for a place to hang their head. They're great companions. So placing these two together and joining them and having adoption festivals at these retirement communities, which are like amazing. They're like island resorts, and you know, they're all, you know, doing their thing and they're having a great time, and most of the time they're dog friendly communities as well. So doing something like that, which we in turn, we haven't started yet. We're very close to launching it, but a program like that really requires a lot of funds, because I want to help the senior community as well by helping taking care of some of these medical costs. The reason why people don't adopt senior age dogs is because they're concerned with medical issues. So covering their pet insurance, helping them take on this individual that, you know, might have a few medical problems down the road, might need a little bit of help. And so with that requires funds. And right now we're doing so much of this out of pocket. You know, we've focused on dogs so much that we forgot to focus on fundraising, and as a result, we're paying for it. But it's okay for now. But you know, we need to implement these programs as well, so that it's helping all sorts of dogs, helping all ages of different communities. You know, because these seniors are not coming out to adoption festivals, they're not logging on online. You got to take it to them. And they're a great community base to do that with, as well as our educational programs.
Yeah, and it's also because, you know, it's been proven that dogs extend your life, you know, that they make you happier. They just want to love and give love and be loved. And, you know, I think it's great for seniors. A lot of seniors get lonely, and I think that dogs are an amazing.
And it also is, they've seen that in therapy, you know, communities where they take them in as therapy dogs, everything like that. It really does make a difference. Now, I know you're also very much interested in education in the inner cities or different things. How do you think you might implement something like that, and what would you need to get that going?
As far as education, I think it really depends on the audience. You know, as far as the inner cities, I think that a lot of it's ego-driven in the sense that they don't want to get their dogs fixed because it's not masculine, you know, to have a dog without its things. And, you know, how do you reach those people? I think that me going into the inner city and trying to reach those people would not necessarily work. I think that recruiting animal lovers in those communities and having them work with us and having them give us their input on how to reach those communities is vital.
And starting young, really, seeing if we can go into these schools and have, like, you know, adoption days where you're teaching children about the importance of owner responsibility, because when you start young, that travels with them through the rest of their life, and they can take that back to their communities, and they can go, hey, this guy down the street isn't really taking care of this dog, and they're stepping up to the plate, because when they're learning through their communities of, you know, what you can and cannot do with a dog, they carry that through adulthood. And when you step in and go, hey, this is what happens when you don't care for a dog, and this is what you can do to help. You know, kids are awesome. They've got the loudest voices, but oftentimes don't get heard. And that's what I would really, really like to do. And our organization really needs the help in implementing, is going to these schools, you know, everywhere, not only inner city, but, you know, in our larger communities, because kids love to help. The kids love to fundraise. They love to door to door, and they love to teach. But sometimes people don't give them the platform to do that on, and we'd love to do that.
And we've really made huge efforts, especially with the name and everything, to be approachable to the younger generation, because that is, you know, like Bobbi said, it's hard because they have a voice but it's never heard, you know. And I think that we want to give them a voice, and we want to hear them, and we want to give them a platform to speak. You know, we really, really want to recruit younger people and, you know, just approach the younger generation, because they are our future.
They are the future.
They are the ones that, you know, we're not going to make this a euthanization-free society anytime soon. I mean, it'll happen in my lifetime. I'll die before it happens, you know, to make it happen. But I think that if we start getting people and start changing their mindset at a younger age, I think as they grow older.
Absolutely, because really the shelters, they're a problem, but the community's the bigger problem. You know, they're doing what they can with the funds that they're given, you know, in many cases, not all, you know, but it's the community. So if we teach about owner responsibility first, then the shelters can step up to the plate and start, you know, taking care of their animals, not euthanizing as often, and doing what they can with the space that they're given.
Yeah, I have to stand up for the shelters too,
Yeah.
because I think that they have zero resources.
Yeah.
You know, I think the city, luckily we have a great, you know, we have this new guy that's in, and he's taking charge, and he's really doing a lot of reforms. But you see the county, and you see a lot of other cities, and they just have no resources.
And they're
They're
scrambling.
underpaid. The people, it's the highest suicide rate, I think, among any job is somebody that works in an animal shelter. It's God, it's horrible.
It's a very difficult. We have
so
just
difficult.
to wrap right up now, and the thing is, I want to
flew
just get out
by.
there. I know that you have a message that you want to say as far as the way to stop this pet overpopulation. What would that be?
Spay and neuter. Spay and neuter your
Spay and
pets.
neuter.
And, you know, if you're going to go find a pet, go to the shelter. Don't buy one. Just save a life. Save a life today. How often can you look at somebody and go, hey, I saved a life. That's cool.
And I know that people need to get involved with your group. How can they reach you?
Cutiesforcanines.org. All spelled out. Not canines for cuties.
Okay, so cutiesforcanines.org. People can get involved. They can volunteer. They can do as little as an hour a week. They can get involved in your fundraising efforts.
Absolutely.
They can put the word out to other people. They can also just network the animals.
Oh,
And it seems that
absolutely.
that's the most important thing, that you really need that time-sensitive issue, is getting that out there, getting the word out there. And people that want to just be a part of that, they can just get in touch with you and say, I want to send in my list.
Yeah, exactly. They can receive our weekly red list of dogs. You know, we choose the top dogs every week, and they don't have a lot of time, so they need to act fast. But if they could just forward it on and make it viral, or donate $20, oh my gosh, you know,
Yeah, that
a lot of
$20
people
was
could
so long for us.
Right. Well, thank you both so much for coming on. You have just been so fabulous, and you really are cuties for canines. We hope that you have great success with everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Critter Crusades, the show about ordinary people on extraordinary missions to help animals. Go out there, spay and neuter, make a difference. Get in touch with Cuties for Canines. Do something for animals today. Thanks for joining us.
That was so fast.
I know.